Hi, and welcome to the SEO podcast, Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing. My name is Chris Burres, one of the owners of EWR Digital, and
there's what? Well, you're the owner of EWR Digital and what?
And this guy right next to me, at least in the video, is...
My name is Matt Bertram. I'm also one of the other owners here at EWR Digital that's sponsoring the Best SEO podcast, or the Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing.
And we are doing a late night broadcast. It's about 9:50 where we're at in Houston, Texas, and I'm heading out of town, and we haven't done a podcast in a while. And we're like, hey, let's get these podcasts because we found this really amazing article that we need to talk about. Do know that Matt and I, we are broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and Matt and I, we are the Results Rebels. I want to jump in real quick. I got a review. And I feel like I need to share this review really quick. This is from William Shepard, and it is, of course, 5 stars. I did a discovery call with Matt to discuss, this is from William Shepard, positive, professionalism, quality. I did a discovery call with Matt to discuss how our firm can help me launch my new business, and I came away thoroughly impressed. Matt was incredibly knowledgeable and transparent about what he could do for my firm. It's not every day you meet an individual who is genuinely interested in ensuring you are successful in your endeavors. The brief chat I had with him left a lasting impression on me, and I left the call with a feeling that his firm is one I want to build a lasting relationship with. In summary, I would highly recommend contacting EWR as a first choice in your marketing search, firm search, in your marketing firm search. So, Pitif to you, William. We really appreciate you taking the time. Apparently, Matt, you said some pretty smart stuff on that call.
Well, yeah, no, I was actually on vacation in Ruidoso when I took that call. It was a referral from one of our clients, so felt obligated to take it. And we talked for a while, and I think put him in the right direction, and we're talking about working together. So yeah. It's good.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm going to talk. Let's see what else we. Hey, please remember, we would really appreciate it if you were to Shiko us.
Yes, Shiko, share, like, follow.
And basically, you can do that on any of the platforms. We are live.
Give us a thumbs up.
Give us the thumbs up. We are live streaming on Facebook. We're live streaming on YouTube.
Right? Yeah.
Both of those. So if you're on those, make sure you share and smash. There's like the kids these days are saying, smash the like button, smash a little alarm bell so that you get notifications when we go live, so that you don't miss a single episode. Because you don't want to miss an episode at all. And then we've got a great article for you today. It's from HubSpot. They do such a great job. Really, they kind of even invented the concept of, or at least the phraseology. Yes, the phraseology of inbound marketing. And the article is how to create an SEO strategy for 2020.
So, Chris, did you know that?
And we're going to get into that here. Yes.
Oh, we got a little bit of lag here. So, I'm a HubSpot.
There we go. Yeah, it looks like we're good. I think I had a web page opening. Yes.
I'm HubSpot certified. Can you hear me?
HubSpot certified. I feel like, can you hear me? I feel like there should be some sort of tone or music or way you sing HubSpot certified. But yeah.
I did say it with a little Southern accent or something. I don't know why I did that either.
Certified. Certified and maybe even countrified. All right. How to create an SEO strategy for 2020. There's some good stuff here. And so we're going to jump right in. It didn't have an author listed, so we'll just assume that it was, some genius over at HubSpot who wrote this article. What is SEO strategy was really the first thing. SEO strategy is the process. By the way, this is an SEO podcast, so it's always good to kind of roll back and say, okay, yeah, what is SEO again? SEO strategy is the process of organizing a website's content by topic, which helps search engines like Google understand a user's intent when searching. By optimizing a web page around topics, then keywords within the topic, you can increase your expertise in the eyes of a search engine and rank well for long tail keywords related to that topic. And some people, so if you don't know, long tail keywords are those keywords or those keyword phrases that are a lot longer, and they may get less traffic. But Matt, why would it be valuable to have like good placement for long tail keywords?
Well, I mean, it's a more targeted search, so they're more qualified potential customers if the keyword makes sense. I can tell you too, my definition of strategy, like really, it's not just keywords. Like SEO strategy involves like CRO, like conversion rate optimization. I can't talk. User behavior, also like how everything's structured there on the back end. There's really a lot that goes in to SEO strategy. I would say maybe like SEO on-page strategy or overall kind of topic strategy or content marketing strategy. But I honestly, SEO strategy, I felt like there's a lot broader definition. But to answer your question, I think, long tail key phrases is how people are searching more, using search engines better to try to get narrowed down to that answer they're looking for. So.
Yep. And I think the other thing to realize is that as you get longer and longer phrases, the intent to purchase probably increases, right? So, if I'm looking for Nikes, hey, I'm just checking out Nikes. If I'm looking for like blue size 8 Nikes near me, then I'm probably about ready to buy. So those longer tail phrases tend to describe buyer intent, right?
I like it.
And then they break down kind of 3 types of SEO. They talk about on-page SEO, which is really content, right? Off-page SEO, this is really about backlinks, and it's dependent on the number of backlinks and the quality of the people who are linking back to you. And then technical SEO, which interestingly, I believe technical SEO can kind of be on-page and off-page, right? Because it can be related to schema and what kind of markup do you have on your website, but it also can be related to the server you're on and how quick is that server and where is it located, and is it like if you're on a server somewhere and all the sites around you are nefarious sites that you probably shouldn't be associated with, that can have a negative impact on your SEO. So we're going to talk about SEO content strategy. There are 9 tips. We're going to go through half of those in this podcast, and then we'll actually make a breakout and do another podcast. So let's jump into those. Number 1, make a list of topics. To start, compile a list of about 10 short words and terms associated with your product or your service. So this is where you're getting that overriding, hey, this is what I'm going to focus on. This is what I need out of, these are where I would really like to place. And they're making the point, these may not be your immediate targets, right? But these are the ultimate goals. And the other reason to go after long tail phrases, right? There's less search volume. These shorter phrases tend to have a lot more search volume and also be a lot more competitive. So you compile that list first using search volume and competition as your measure. Narrow down your list to about 10 to 15 short tail keywords. Each of these keywords is going to be called a pillar, and it serves as the primary support for a larger cluster of long tail keywords, which is what brings us to step number 2. Any comments on kind of identifying that? It's really like keyword research and then narrowing it down to those first keywords.
Yeah, pillar or seed research is really important to define what those core topics are. I think one of the things that you can do that is really nice is Google likes to organize data. Its goal is actually to organize like all human knowledge or whatever. So if you look at the sites that Google really likes, like Wikipedia, for example, it's a really great way to go check out and see, based on whatever you're talking about, how Wikipedia organizes its data, and then be looking at like how you could organize your content in that fashion. Because sometimes based on like, so SEMrush has like a great tool that will actually break it apart for you in different buckets, even different topics. There's a lot of different tools that do that. Ahrefs, I use that more for backlink analysis, and I don't use Growth Bar. Have you used Growth Bar, Chris?
I've never used Growth Bar.
I actually have never checked it out. So I don't know. I would say keyword research is really foundational. I think one example is, we're not doing the in-person audits anymore, but we would do these 2, 3, 4 hour audits. It would just depend with the client, like a workshop really. And really that process was identifying those commercial intent keywords that are really going to move the needle. And we're looking at a lot of different metrics to figure out what that was. But, it was interesting. I had a client come in actually for PPC. We started looking at PPC volume. I noticed that there were some keywords that they wanted to bid on that had really, really low, like they were very expensive, but they had low keyword difficulty from an SEO standpoint. And so throughout the workshop, I said, actually, here are probably the keywords from an SEO standpoint we might want to go after in addition to these PPC keywords. And really, long story short, one of the keywords that we were going after is for a plumbing company. Put them in first position for that keyword, because really on the page, as you move up, there's multiples of like traffic increases. It became, I think, like 38% of the volume traffic to the website, which I don't know. I didn't get the full, like what that produced in like revenue for the client, but I know that they were so busy that they couldn't really talk to me anymore, and they were hiring people and all that kind of stuff. So I know it was quite useful. So keywords, if you do the research right, can really move the needle for your business. And it's really where you want to spend the majority of our time to make sure you're going after the right thing. And then develop a strategy that's really going to get you there. I like to get real laser focused when going after certain keywords, because, SEO, the multiple on return on investment is so high. So
yeah. And it has staying power, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you may get a great return on investment from a great PPC campaign and with a great landing page, all the complications that can go into that. But you turn it off and, you're not spending any more money. You're also not getting any more traffic. So SEO really has that kind of long-term. It's an asset. It's more of an asset.
Well, remember that big law firm out of Phoenix that I ranked? They basically blew up their phones. They reached back out to us not too long ago, and but we did a 6-month campaign for them, and for the whole next year, they were still in the top 3 positions for the keyword. Yeah. What kind of ROI is that? I mean, it's massive.
Stupid ROI. I think that's the technical term.
Oh, all right.
All right. So number 2, make a list of long tail keywords based on these topics. For each pillar you've identified, use your keyword tool to identify 5 to 10 long tail keywords that dig deeper into the original topic. I mean, all of this really makes sense about how do you organize information? How do you layer information, right? Create content on the topic. In their example, they create content on the topic of SEO, but it's still very difficult to rank well on Google just for SEO. So SEO is that quintessential short tail phrase, right? It's just 3 letters, literally. So because of that challenge, therefore, they like to create content around conducting keyword research, around optimizing images for search engines, around creating an SEO strategy, like this article, and around other subtopics within SEO. So that's just an example. You've got SEO as that pillar content, and then you've got these other longer tail phrases. Those are your cluster content. Use subtopics to come up with blog post or web page ideas that explain a specific concept within each larger topic you identify from step 1, right? So that's where you're breaking these down. Together, these subtopics create a cluster, and if you have 10 pillar topics, then you should each be preparing to support a cluster with 5 or 10 subtopics. So this SEO model, they call it topic cluster. I actually hadn't really heard of topic cluster. I'm imagining that's like inbound marketing and was created. was created. It's always nice. Like, remember this is called.
It sounds super legit.
It's like, I think I've heard of that before, because the name makes perfect sense after you describe it as a pillar and then cluster. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So let's see here. The more specific your content, the more specific the needs of your audience. We actually kind of touched on this. I just wanted to say that those topic clusters are going to have the longer tail phrases, and they're really going to be the ones that that have more of the buyer intent, and you'll have a better idea of what the searcher intent is. I don't know if you had anything to add to the so-called topic cluster methodology.
I don't know. My strategy was like 3 pieces of content, so to support one pillar or kind of seed content.
Okay.
More the better. So 5 to 10 is more the better.
And that can have to do with the how competitive the particular pillar content is, right?
You can create custom post types on the back end to really let Google know what these buckets are, so you can kind of organize the content a little bit better. I think that, again, like everything folds into the organization of content so that the search engine understands and trusts, and you're adding value to the customer. So I think that, you got to figure out what kind of content you want to add and what basically, based on the buyer's journey, what pieces of content they need to move them through your funnel to convert. So I think that, understanding why you're searching for those pieces of content is critically important, as well as how to search for it. So, I just think that this is really an extension of what we were talking about in the last point. So.
Yep. And I just kind of, as I'm watching you talk, because we're broadcasting live, I noticed that our background, it says internet marketing, it says SEO. I noticed your background, which I can actually kind of bring to the front here. Look at that. It says why local SEO is important. The co-host of one of the most popular podcasts related to digital marketing. Hey, is that? Are you speaking?
Yeah. So we're starting a local, speaker series. I've been asked to do a lot of speaking talks. I'm actually going to be speaking at PodFest, the importance of SEO and link building related to podcasts. So that's, Podcast Expo. We're actually trying to break Guinness Book of World Records. That's on August 14th at 2:30 Central Time. But yeah, so we're going to start a local speaking series and networking. I think really people are starving for connection right now.
Yeah, I think that's very true.
And people are starving for knowledge. And so, really I had a lot of people start messaging me on LinkedIn and Facebook, and they were asking me a lot of like questions. And so I thought, it might be good to do a talk, try to answer some of the bigger questions, and then do a Q&A that multiple people could chime in on or listen to. So it was just kind of an idea that we came up with. And so it's something that we're rolling out. Yeah.
Cool. I don't know if you noticed, but your background says Matt Bertram is actually pointing right at
Yes, that's actually, I was trying to it's the reverse. So it's difficult. And then behind me too, that's a picture of our really lonely,
spacious co-working space. Yeah.
Yeah. So we chopped off because we grew so much from the co-working space, but we still have access to it. And it's really quite a sad sight because nobody's in there.
Totally empty.
No one's in our office. But here, Chris, this is interesting. So people are starting to want to come back to work. Like I think they're just working from home was kind of novel, and now.
Yep. And you didn't have a choice at all.
Yeah. So I went by the office because I had meetings all day. I went by the office to pick up something, and there was like 3 people there, and I was like, "Hey, I didn't know what was going on."
It's a party.
Yeah. So people are slowly trickling back in, and I think people want to get back into a routine, and we'll see what happens with COVID after November, right? So.
Absolutely. All right. So let's get on to part 3, number 3, how to create an SEO strategy in 2020. And number 3 is build pages for each topic. So we did the keyword research to find our pillar content, right? And then we kind of chose long tail phrases that support that pillar content to create our clusters, our topic cluster. And then now it's going to talk about, let's build out individual pages for each topic. When it comes to websites and ranking in search engines, trying to get one page to rank for a handful of keywords can be next to impossible. Here's what to do next. Take the 10 pillar topics you came up with in step 1 and create a web page for each one that outlines the topic at a high level, using the long tail keywords you came up with for each cluster in step 2. So basically, the outline is based on all of the cluster phrases that you came up with in step 2, right? So you've got this nice outline, right? Mm-hmm. So for example, SEO, again, using the good example because they created this article about SEO, can describe SEO in brief sections that introduce keyword research, image optimization, SEO strategy, and other subtopics that are identified. Now, ultimately, the number of topics for which you have to create pillar pages should coincide with how many different products, offerings, and locations your business has. So those are what you want to place well. You want to have that many pillar pages of pillar content, and then create these cluster topics underneath.
So that was a mouthful.
Yes.
I'm going to try to summarize it.
Turn it into native tongue.
Yeah, like I'm going to try to, for the lay person, and use maybe an analogy, and maybe like it's like a little buzzword or blurb or something. This is what I would say. When people are searching online, they're looking for a particular thing or a particular answer, right? So when you go to a restaurant, or if you used to go to restaurants and you don't go anymore, and you would ask for a Coke, or you would ask for a Sprite, okay? If someone brought you a Coke Sprite, right, like it wouldn't taste very good, right? Like, right. And really that's the same way when Google's serving content. If you're mixing multiple keywords or multiple topics, Google doesn't know how to weight it, right? And so if you really want a Coke, you really want it all to be about Coke. Right?
Just a Coke,
the whole glass to be about Coke. And the more it is about Coke, the more when people are searching for a particular phrase or long tail key phrase, the better it's going to be, right? And so you should think about that based on all your content. There's a strategy you got to be careful called doorway pages that Google's dinging you on, because people are taking this to an extreme. But really, like you want to think of like semantic, like words that are all like LSI, like how words are like related to each other, and then group it into different topics. And then, describe things or talk about things about that topic that's relevant to what someone's searching for. So I'm really seeing, people that are just focused on a keyword, those again, the SEO strategy based on the search engines evolve as the Google algorithm updates evolve. And so if you really keep, like you say, you always say, keep the user in mind, keep the end user in mind. If that's what you're focused on, typically when these updates happen, you get nice bumps. But if you're doing stuff to manipulate the search engines, you're going to get knocked on these updates. And maybe this one doesn't get you, but the next one does. Like it's really interesting to watch the Google dance or people's rankings jump in different ways every update. And really now Google's starting to roll out updates a lot more frequently. So I just encourage everybody to really focus on a good user experience and not just going after a certain keyword per page or something like that. So
yeah, it's interesting to listen to the panic in the forums when there's an algorithm change. It's like my whole strategy, the strategy I had, which was very manipulative, got dinged, and so now all of the sites that I work on are gone, have fallen off of the first page. That's
well, like I can tell you the core update. So I have like a private group of like some different SEOs that we talk a lot. And there was a core update, I think in August of last year or something. I don't quote me on that, but essentially I thought it was related to, like, it talked about in some articles, it was related to like the Bitcoin space or whatever, or the cryptocurrency space. But one of my buddies that does lead gen, through like GNBs, he was like, oh my gosh, like all my GNBs got taken down, like blah, 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 blah. And like he was freaking out. And like, I didn't even know, like none of our clients got affected. All the articles were talking about the cryptocurrency space, but that update dinged him on GNBs, and a bunch of his GNBs that I guess, he set up multiple GNBs that weren't really registered to a location, and they actually all got taken down. And, you wouldn't know that, right? So like, so that his whole kind of strategy, was scrapped, and he had to restart, and that definitely happens a lot in the affiliate space. And that's why Google does sandbox people. I don't care what any articles say. I've seen it with the algorithm that if you come out of the gate strong, Google's not going to put you on the first page. Typically it's going to be a 90-day window, and it wants you to prove to it that whatever you're doing's going to be, your cadence is going to stay the same, and you're not just looking for like a flash in the pan quick win. And so, like you just got to weigh everything, right? You got to weigh all the strategies. It's important to understand the algorithm, but know what that kind of North Star that's guiding you is, because you really never know what's going to happen in the future. It's, SEO is a moving target. So,
Yep. Do it above board or lose all of your boards. All right. Number 4 is set up a blog. If your business does not already have a blog, please go set one up. This is where you'll elaborate on each subtopic and actually start showing up on Google. And so this is where you're getting into those topic clusters, and you should do 3 things. First, don't include your long tail keyword more than 3 or 4 times throughout the page. So I like they're giving some pretty practical stuff. Then the first thing about the first stuff is don't do keyword stuffing. The next one is second, link out to the pillar page you created on this topic. Yep. You can do this in the form of tags, right? Depending on your content management system. Certainly exists in WordPress. Obviously, he mentions it, so it exists in HubSpot, or as a basic anchor text in the body of the article. And then finally, once you publish each blog post, link into it from the pillar page that supports that subtopic. So again, you got that pillar content, you're getting down to those clusters, make sure that they cross-link each other into the right spots. And by connecting both the pillar and cluster in this way, you're telling Google there's a relationship between the long tail keyword and the overarching topic that you're trying to rank well for.
So two things that I thought of. One of the things that you brought up that I didn't really ever think about that we probably should share is a lot of people, look at HubSpot as an email automation tool, but you can actually build full-on websites in HubSpot. And so they keep expanding their offering, and you can track user behavior. It's quite cool what HubSpot can do. If you fully utilize it, it is a little pricey if you're kind of starting out, but it's definitely something to go. Their CRM's free to get started. Like, they have a lot of great offerings. The other thing that I would say, I can't really remember what I was talking about.
Well, I can tell you, we've even seen people just use pieces of HubSpot, not on HubSpot's website. So just their forms and their email tools to great advantage. So yeah, there are some really powerful tools inside of HubSpot.
Yeah. No, there was something I was going to talk about.
I'm sure it was brilliant. Like
it probably was.
Touching on the sublime.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
All right, and this is number 5. This will be the last one for this podcast. Again, this is how to create an SEO strategy for 2020 by a HubSpot blogger whose name is not anywhere to be found. And number 5 is blog every week to develop page authority. By the way, I highlighted a lot of this, so bear with me here. Not every blog post or web page you write needs to belong to a topic cluster. There's also value in writing about tangential topics your customers care about. Notice the focus on the customer. And what that does is give you website authority in the eyes of Google.
Chris, I got to say something. I remember.
Okay. All right. Ready? Prepare.
So I'm interrupting you. I apologize. All right. So, interlinking on on a website. When I was first starting out doing SEO, okay, because I didn't know how to do outreach and community management to develop earned backlinks, right? So all the backlinks I could do were on the page, right? So I would start, building blogs, building pages, and building a bigger and bigger website. And I was in a non-competitive space, right? So that there's a caveat there, but I was able to rank for multiple keywords in first position without any off page. It was all on page, and it was really pushing the juice around on page, right? So I think interlinking is super important. And so developing the clusters, I guess, and then linking to the money pages is quite powerful, because a link's a link. Now it's weighted a little bit differently, but it really tells Google what you believe is important on your website and what the user flow should look like. So I thought
are we officially changing it from topic cluster technique to the money page technique? Is that
no, let's go back to cluster.
Well, we got to come up with something. It's got to be our own. So we'll come up with something at some point. All right. With that in mind, you make those points. Keep in mind that each topic won't be equal importance, right? Create a list of all the different web pages you would like to create and rank them, in which order you want, and then develop your content strategy, or how you're building your content so that it supports those keywords that you'd like to rank first. And that's really have that blog and make sure that you've got an ongoing strategy.
What did you highlight? What did you highlight? I don't feel like there's anything that was said that was that. What did you highlight?
I highlighted the whole section.
I don't feel like any of that was valuable at all. But I mean, or it was like, I don't know, maybe read it again. But I literally felt like that was all stuff that you should already know.
Well, so yes, absolutely. So here's one of the things that I had never thought of consciously.
Okay.
To post consistently gives an impression to Google. So therefore you should post consistently. We post consistently as part of our strategy. We got to have a calendar, and I never really thought of it as because we've got to have deliverables for customers, and we got to deliver that value. Because we have the schedule, I never thought of if we just posted 5 articles on Monday on the first day of the month instead of 1 per week, that's a difference. It's born out of a different reason, but it satisfies the same itch, which is Google likes to see you posting time and time again. If some people will say, hey, I don't want to launch my website, all of my pages aren't done yet. Well, that's probably a good thing. Launch that website and then release pages on a regular basis after that page launches. And that actually may get you out of the sandbox faster.
Yeah. I think, velocity is important. That cadence is important. Really when COVID hit, that was one of the things that I had the account managers communicate to our clients, is that if we're producing 1 piece of content a week and we go to 0, Google's gonna say, hey, what's going on? Because I don't know, maybe Google, I really haven't done enough reading on it, but I don't know if Google changed their algorithm. They did change their GNB. They changed that, but I don't know if they changed anything to the core algorithm when COVID hit And here's the thing, they probably will if, because I've seen like the search volume change and even like YouTube's like way up. But if this is prolonged, maybe they will change their algorithm. But bottom line is, like, I don't think that they're taking into consideration, oh, hey, if there's a small business owner, even a big company that stops producing content, it's not going to affect how Google's viewing them, because you're providing thought leadership and now you're not, right? And so, or you're providing a little bit and then you start providing more. So, I think it's taken into consideration, that velocity. Now what I have seen is the algorithm is not that sensitive. Like if you were like, because like in the past, instead of like releasing one a week, which you can schedule it, right? So it's easy. But I have released like 4 pieces of content for that month at one time. And, I've watched it, and I can't say it's made that huge difference, but I didn't have a big enough like data set. And also I only did it a few times. So, right. so it wasn't like a real study or anything, but I didn't see the algorithm as that sensitive, but over a longer period of time, absolutely. So,
well, yeah, and you're asking or kind of thinking about, are they affecting people based on velocity of content that's coming out there? And I would say that the reduction in content happen across the board, right? So for most, and so it's probably the case that it's bringing up content. If you continue to post, just like which would be normal, the person that continues to post tends to at least get those pops. And you've talked about the Google dance, where Google will pop you up there because you've got new content, or it sees that velocity and likes what you are doing. But remember, that content only stays up there as long as the user engages with that content. If you get it to pop up there because it's new and because it meets some keyword criteria and kind of intent relevance, but it's a poor experience for the user, it's just not going to stay up there very long. So I think all of that still is that's the same algorithm.
I would also include in this, I don't think that they're talking about it, but like, there is a little bit of an audition period, right? When you post new stuff on Google's trying to figure out like how it ranks. And, if you have content that's not ranking, you can look at ways of like repurposing it. I mean, really, that's where the skyscraping method came from. It's like, here's a bunch of content that's not really ranking. Let me put it together in this massive article, and then let me repost it, and let's improve it in some regards. So, I really am a big fan of like repurposing content, or even republishing content, like, unlisting it and relisting it. So that's a little pro tip, I think. So.
Well, that is point number 5. That's going to end this podcast. This is actually podcast number 488. Matt and I will ask you one simple thing. If you like this podcast, we'd ask you to share it or Shiko it.
Yes, Shiko it.
Share, like, and follow, like professionals. Share, like, and follow that podcast. Share it with at least 3 people. We are broadcasting live on Facebook, broadcasting live on YouTube. Go ahead and press the like button. Make sure you're following us. Make sure you press the little notification bar or icon in YouTube so that you get notified when we go live and even when we post a video. If you are looking to grow your business with the largest, simplest marketing tool on the planet,
the internet,
call EWR Digital for increased revenue in your business. Our phone number is 713-592-6724. If you have a referral for us, we're not getting into gory details.
So Chris, yes. Calling us, we have it forwarded to some apps on some of our team members' phones.
Yes.
Submit a form.
Yeah.
And it's we'll get that as well. And so right now we don't have someone like actively in the office answering the phone. It is, isn't it like VoIP or something like that, whatever it's called, where basically it's internet phone. Yep. And then we have it on an app on our phones. So,
it can be spotty sometimes,
but also you can email us or submit a form. So.
Very cool. And then if you have a referral, well, I'm not going to get into the details, just submit a form and we'll kind of follow up with you and get that taken care of. And we'll come to some arrangement that makes everybody happy. We were filmed live in Houston, Texas. And if you want transcript video or audio of this podcast, you can probably ask for it at bestseopodcast.com. And
we're getting caught up. We rebuilt the website in a new, I'm trying to create some continuity through COVID. We had a little bit of dip in, activity. And so I took that as an opportunity to launch our rebrand. And what I wanted to do is get some consistency across platforms. So rebuilt Best SEO Podcast as well. So we are a little bit behind on some of the transcripts, but we will get caught up.
Absolutely. All right. Well, until the next podcast, you guys have made us the most popular SEO podcast, one of the most popular internet marketing podcasts on iTunes, or is it Apple Podcasts now, whatever it's called. Until the next podcast, my name is Chris Burres.
My name is Matt Bertram.
Bye-bye for now.